So, you guys, I have to tell you this video is just my testament. It's gonna have multiple stuff that's added on to it. I was listening to the minister preach tonight, and for somewhat reason, I have to put my story out there because I'm compelled to do so. Like at this point, I'm inspired. I have to tell what took place with me. So, I ended up in a relationship, multiple relationships, and through through this relationship, um, God was waking me up to certain things, like waking me up, and then I was being put back to sleep. This last incident that happened to me, I was, um, it was like as if they were making judgments. They were like, I woke up like in this dream state, illusion state, like illuminary state. And they were like making judgments on me. Like she could have made it. She even when she was sinful, she could have made it into heaven. She wasn't living crazy, reckless, or anything like that. She could have made it in. Um, and the people said, well, she could have been one of us too, because she was having sex, she was doing this, she was doing that. It was like a judgment, like as if I woke up in the middle of my judgment. She was doing this, she was doing that, and stuff like that. But even though she was in the world, she wasn't that sinful. I mean, who doesn't have a boyfriend? Who didn't have sex, you know, and stuff like that? You can't even make judgments on that. And it was like as if one side was battling for me, the other side was battling against me. And in the middle is a judgment. So they at the end they came to a judgment call and said she needs to redo everything over again. This in this dream state, illuminary state, devil, blinded. I can't see nothing. Say she needs to do everything over again, right? So they began to ask me, they said, who are you going to serve? I said, God. I'm going to serve God. And I had been taught this since a child going to Sunday school. Always serve God, always put God first or whatever. So I chose God. I can't tell you that I chose God, but I was going through stuff. See, that's that stuff that people hide. I can't tell you that. I was going through stuff because what happened after I chose God and I'm ministering, I'm not having sex until I'm married. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna live right. I'm gonna follow God. I'm gonna do what I'm supposed to do. That I ended up in another relationship, but that relationship was identical to the relationship that I had just now exited out of. Like I had just now exited out of that relationship. That relationship was toxic to me. I was going through so much stuff, demonic possession, going through a lot. But at that time, I wasn't even aware that I was going through demonic possession. And I didn't know too much about compelling at that time. Well, I knew about it, but I'm not awakened to it. And so I entered back into another relationship after making agreements and arrangements, contracts, and all these different things saying, I'm not going to have sex. I'm not going to date unless I'm married. I'm not going to have sex until I'm married. So I ended up falling. I ended up in a relationship. Me and the young man became sexually active. And I ended up losing. Thank God the agreements were able to be revised. They gave me a second chance. They was like, okay, we'll give you a second chance, right? As they gave me the second chance, I started to hold to what I originally said. I refused to date because there were certain things in that relationship that was waking me up to I was in a toxic situation. First thing was I was being sexually active with him, but it didn't feel like him. I had just went through that in the previous relationship, and I had been going through that for quite some time. I was being sexually active, but for some weird reason, there's something off. There's something wrong. And then it's not just with one person; it's with multiple people. Like I'm starting to notice, like something's wrong here. I'm being raped off or something during sexual activity times. And so this happened with the last person I dated. I don't know if he knows. I don't care if he knows. I just was like, look, it's done. I like the previous relationship before this last person, I was feeling like a woman had raped me and scrapped on and raped me. And I was thinking that I was having sex with him. And I started asking questions. I'm thinking that I'm out of my mind and started to realize, hey, you're not out of your mind. You're waking up. You're waking up to some toxic stuff. So I'm going to do multiple sets of this testimony because I feel like it's mandatory or whatever. So after waking up to that, after choosing God and everything, I started to live my life different. I started like living totally different. I'm not having sex. I'm focused on my education. So I started relearning different curriculum stuff about school and stuff like that. I started relearning. I stopped dating. I stopped having sex altogether. I'm focused on my family. I'm focused on getting a job or whatever. At that time, my ex was in the house. He's sitting up there and he's paying all the bills or whatever. And I started noticing that I wasn't progressing because I had him there. So I decided to let him go. I told him to leave. Remind you, I had no money, no job, no nothing. I told him, you gotta go. This is it for us. And my ex wasn't the guy that I went through the situation I went through. He was a guy that, we had already separated. He's just staying there or whatever. And I finally got him out of the house. And when I got him out of the house, that's when I started entering into the relationship with the dude. But it was like a small space between there because I know that that dude was into the church. So I was like, okay, we good because he in the church. This a church man. That was a no go. He's not gonna want to have sex with me. We're not gonna have sex. We're not gonna do none of that because this is a godly man, and I'm serving God now, and I chose this, and I had to let go of my ex, and so much stuff gonna go good now, and mm-mm. Woke up to the fact that I had needed to separate from dudes altogether because it was toxic for me. So when I finally they revised the agreement, I stopped dating, stopped entering into relationships, stopped having sex altogether. I started getting delivered again. My deliverance started to come. I can't tell you, I woke up one time and it was like my uncle's voice. And this was right after that. And he was like, telling me to fight it. So right after I chose God, he was like, fight it, fight it, fight it, fight, fight, fight. Like I had like a cheerleading team on that. I had like a cheerleading team for real. He was like, fight, fight, fight. You're gonna be good. Fight it, fight it. So I'm sitting there, I'm like, hey, next thing I know, this is supposed to be me waking up. I only woke up long enough to hear this man tell me, fight. And I went right back out, went unconscious, flat out. Went unconscious. Couldn't move no more. Taste here, nothing. It was just him telling me to fight it. And it was other people in the room, like as if I had like a cheerleading group, like a people of God cheering for me. And they was telling me to fight it. And I laid back down. And I ain't laid back down on my own will. Because I'm thinking it's telling me to fight and wake up. So I'm saying, hey, I'm about to wake up. Let me fight it. Let me fight it. I can wake up. Next thing I know, I went out completely cold. Unconscious. Ain't no fight in me. Knockout. Tyson. All the fight knocked clean out you. I was only woke up that long to know that there were people on the other side waiting on me, supporting me. While all of this is going on, I'm sitting in the room on Avenue B. And as I'm sitting in the room, it's like I'm blinded, but a multitude of stuff is just going on around me. And I can't really see, but it's like illumination, so much different stuff going on around me. So many different things going on. One time I even felt like I was like in some dude's garage and it was just like super hot. And for some weird reason, they rolled up the garage. And when they rolled up like the storage or the garage or whatever, I was just sitting there. And it was crazy. I remember sitting on my bed and one guy that I used to know, I'm not going to say his name because of certain things going on. He sat there, he tapped my bed, said, "You good, you good, you good." I remember him doing that. "Brian, you good." I'm like, but my bed is close to a window and a wall. Like, how in the heck they tapping my bed? Talking about I'm good. And I was sitting there and I was watching TV, but tapping my bed. I went through sitting in the chair, and I know this is in one of my testimonies where I was sitting up in the recliner chair in the house and I was watching TV, and it was like one of those shows like the Hunger Game came on, and it's showing people flashing before me in the community that they were taken through. And it was like you can call in and make a bid type thing, just like one of those, you know how like when you're doing a marathon or a telethon for cash and stuff like that. I'm looking at TV, this just pops up and I'm looking at it. Next thing I know, it blinked out and I went totally out and went unconscious. This is all if I chose God now. One day I was sitting up there, I was just watching TV, just a regular show, just minding my business. I was pulled down and raped like the girl off of Players Club, like Diamond was raped off of Players Club. They did it like a joking thing. And they're sitting there, they're joking, and they didn't know that what they did was violate me, and I'm hearing them joke about how they violated me. And I couldn't fight them off. I couldn't what's your name. And next thing I know, I was blinked out and I was able to sit back up in the recliner chair and watch TV again, being blinked out but being raped at the same time. They wanted to show me that they had authority and power. These people that was around me, because they considered themselves gods, they want to show me, hey, I got power, I got authority, I can make things happen for you. I can get you money, I can get you cars, I can get you clothes. In fact, I can get you out of that prison you in right there with ease.